Hello YouTube. Yes, I'm going to play more music because that's what I do. I'm first gonna have a little bit of a rant, which is going to be a bit daft because anyone that ever listens to the song and wants to listen to it again is going to have to go through the rant every time, but that never normally happens. People generally watch them once. So I'm going to give up for reasons why I don't video blog. No one's ever asked. No one's ever suggested that I should, but I always feel like that's what the community I watch, therefore why don't I do it? The reason I'm more into YouTube, the reason I'm always on it nearly every day is because I'm watching other people's videos. And I often find myself kind of wanting to get involved in the arguments. Now with YouTube, what's happening is every time you post a comment now, it's kind of chastising you for doing so. It gives you a character count. If you post more than one comment on a video, even if it's a discussion with someone, it asks you to verify that you're human, because clearly you're spamming, clearly. And it's just ways, and it comes up with errors every so often, when I think there isn't actually an error. I think it's just the servers can't handle it. So deliberately YouTube's trying to stop people from commenting, stop traffic, because their servers can't handle it. Their method for us undoing it is they always try and put up, please put a video response, please upload videos, but the more videos we upload, the less can be watched. It's more time, it takes more time to watch the videos than it does to read a quick comment. Admittedly, most of our comments, when we're having a big discussion on the things I like to watch, like feminism and politics, just charities that are going on, things that are happening in the world, what people are getting up to in the bigger sense. You know, when you're having a discussion like that, your comments tend to be like 500 words long. You might as well just submit an email to the person, but in that instance the conversation is between you and them, and in most instances they have so many subscribers and so many messages getting sent to them that it's implausible to think that they could connect with that many people. I mean, I can't remember who it was that argued that there's a certain number of people that you can keep up with. Like for the Facebook argument, how many of them do you know? Well, in my instance, I know I've met and spoken to most of them. I would never accept them on Facebook if I didn't. But the thing is, I may have only had one conversation with them, and it might have been way back in high school, and I can't remember who. I might remember their name because of Facebook, but I won't remember what it was they were going to do. I could probably find out from the Facebook itself, but I'm never going to look. I'm never going to go and look up random people like that. I'm going to concentrate on the people that are close to me. That's why I like why they feature things, because hopefully it's going to be the people that you talk to most of the time. You want to be able to connect to people that you haven't spoken to in a long time, just in case, so you can look them up in your friends items, but otherwise you don't really need them spitting in your face, especially when they're quite, people that post all the time and things like that. And that's fine. On YouTube I don't like it, I admit. I hate the highlights thing, because that's videos that already have lots of views get even more views. Seems a bit daft. It's an exponential thing. It's to make sure that they get an exponential thing and that you miss content that you would otherwise like to watch. I tend to find that a lot of, I'll remember, oh yeah, I remember I subscribed to this person, I haven't seen their videos in a while, and I have to actually go and look for them. And I find that they've got like 10 videos and each of them are like half an hour long. And I end up staying up till God knows what time in the morning watching them all, and it's not in context, because that might be an argument with someone else or a response to someone else, and they would go and watch that video and look up this and look up who else has talked about it and what's going on and whether it was ever resolved. On YouTube it never gets resolved, never really, because people hold to their opinions. But sometimes people are inspired by watching these arguments, and they're inspired by a particular side and they change their opinion. People develop their arguments. I've certainly developed my arguments in talking to people from doing it, if you understand. Like I had a friend from Holland who came over and we had an argument about politics. I knew very little about politics in Holland, but I understood the Europe conversation. Why? Because of YouTube, because of people arguing about it, people talking about it. I understood about politics because I'd watched candidates in America and candidates here, and I'd watch it on YouTube because that was the easiest access to watch these kind of things. Watch their speeches, even if their speeches has commentary by the person who'd uploaded it. And that's why I didn't agree with SOPA, because you would never be able to do that. And that kind of thing. And I got really mad about the SOPA thing, and I wanted to blog about that, and why was no one noticing? Why was no one stopping this kind of thing? Oh no, it's okay, because a lot of people on YouTube were, so that was good. I felt, positive about the community. Felt like, well, that's it, I don't need to get involved, they're doing it well on their own. And for the most part, the YouTube community always does. Probably not going to play the song now, I'm talking so long. But yeah, and that always happens, and it's funny, now the guitar's gone, I've not got a barrier. Yeah, and I don't think I'll ever need to get into the discussions about anything. I don't think my opinion being heard by people is going to change their mind on anything. Possibly on some things, maybe. I might be able to teach people a few things, but I would never presume such a thing being so young. I may have had quite a fulfilling life, and quite a, an up and down kind of life. My life's been here, there, everywhere. I mean, certainly now I'm in a new flat, so I know a lot about issues with parents and how balancing respect for parents and stuff like that. I saw some videos by Varmint Coyote, who was talking about being able to rebel against authority and stuff, and also some rants as well. And I was just kind of, well, I see the need for respect for parents, even though the respect for my parent ended up backfiring to all intents and purposes. It definitely backfired. So yeah, I think given that opinion, I could give that opinion, I could tell people, well, this is what happened to me, but there's still going to be the right to argue the opposite and say, well, most people respect their parents, but should we always? And that kind of thing. And I do think it helps people to know that there are two sides of the argument, but we always know there is. And if you don't know there is, then you're a bit stupid, to be honest. It's like Christians that believe that most people are Christian. And they never presume that anyone might not be. Like, there was a girl that stopped me in the street once, and she was handing out flyers to go to a tea party in a church. And I was on my way to work, and I'm just thinking, I'm sorry, no, I've got to go to work. And that's what I said to her, and she's like, oh no, but this is open all day, you could come later. And I'm like, well, I don't do that kind of thing. What do you mean? I'm like, well, I wouldn't do that kind of thing. I wouldn't go to the church, I wouldn't go and oh right, do you have your own church? No, I don't have my own church. She's like, oh, so what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a student. And she's like, oh, so you're just very busy. I mean, you're working and you're a student, so you must be very busy. I'm like, no, that's not it. I just don't do that kind of thing. And I eventually had to say to her that I didn't believe in God. This was a random I was meeting on the street, and I was already late for work. I mean, that starts up a big discussion, and it wasn't a discussion I was willing to have. But she would not accept the fact that some random person she just stopped was an atheist. She just couldn't take it. Now the funny thing is, I'm not an atheist who impersonates on other people that they shouldn't believe and that it's not good for them and that it's bad for the world. I admit all the instances where it is bad for the world. I love reading on, like, Christopher Hitchens. When he died, I made sure that I got all of his writings and read them all. I'd read some of them before, and I made sure that I had, like, articles that he'd written as a journalist, and I made sure I had them. I wanted to read them. And I loved the way he argued about atheism, and his cause was, well, religion does so much bad in the world, we should really stop it. But he never once says that there will ever be a world without religion, or that that's what he was trying for. He was trying to argue that religion needs to calm the hell down, and it does. And that's what I would say to people, but I would never say don't have faith. Because faith can do a lot of good things as well, it can do bad. Some people who, they argue that you don't need religion to be moral. That is true. You do not need religion to be moral. You just need to have grown up with other people and have been social to be moral. Psychologically, we know that. That is a fact. If you grow up, but that's not to say that single children, children that are alone, won't know morals and things like that. I mean, I was an only child. It's that if you're completely devoid of human contact, you'll adopt whatever was around you, like examples of feral children who grew up with dogs and things like that. And yeah, that's the situation where you have a different set of morals. That's not to say you couldn't be kind, but the likelihood is you wouldn't be socially apt with human beings, you just wouldn't be. And that's what we mean by moral. We mean being able to fit into society in whatever manner, whatever bit of society we belong to. And it's that kind of, the religious argument, oh, well, it makes me a good person. I'm not going to argue whether that's true or not. I believe that if you are a good person, you are a good person. But I'm not going to fight them. I'm not going to say your faith is meaningless, because to you it clearly means something. I can't argue that. Most of these people, I don't know them very well. And in the case where I do know them very well, I know how important faith is to them, so I'm not going to argue it, because I know how important they feel for it. People like a good friend of mine in high school, Bex, she very devout, goes to church every Sunday, but for a long time she didn't in high school because she didn't like the church that her family went to. She found when she went to uni that's a bit extreme. They believe in faith healing and things like that. And she's a psychologist, which gets me every single time. She's a psychologist who believes in faith healing, and you can't bring across to her, well, it's just a placebo. This faith healing, because you believe in God, you want the pain to go away, so therefore it does go away. She doesn't, being a psychologist, she doesn't even give it into it then. She should, otherwise I don't think she could do her job very well, but she doesn't. I still wouldn't say to her, well, I think your church is too extreme, I don't think you should go. One, she wouldn't listen to me, so there'd be no point in saying it at all. But for the second point, it's important to her. And she's still my friend regardless. If there ever came up an issue where she thought that I was a worse person for it, like a lot of Americans, the Christian Americans are really, really devout, and they think anyone who's not Christian is just not worth talking to. It's like that thing that, they answer that questionnaire, the atheists were the most distrusted person in America. I found that hilarious. I don't think that would have happened here, and if it did happen, I don't think it'd be tolerated for very long. Of course, I'm Scottish. I live in Britain. I don't think it would last at all. So yeah, I think it takes all kinds of people to make a world, and if people of faith have to be some of them, well then, fine. I'm not a pushy atheist, but I love the atheist community on YouTube. I love that they argue. I love them disproving and pawning people and then thinking that it matters, and it doesn't really matter generally, because they tend to be preaching to the converted, and if they're not preaching to the converted, they're preaching to people whose minds cannot be changed. There is nothing you can say to change their mind. I'm sure people like the Amazing Atheist and things like that, I'll say, oh well, no, I've got an email from someone whose mind was changed by the things I argue, things like that. It tends not to be a harsh person as him. TJ is very harsh and argumentative when he comes across. Maybe someone like, I don't know, proportional response or someone. He might convince someone that maybe the religious world is a bit too harsh. Partly because he's been part of it. I think that's a good argument. But yeah, I've now done a rant. I've now done a vlog. And apparently not paused very much. Just paused to think. But I will say this, the reason I generally don't vlog is because I haven't done my homework. I don't know, I'm not, there's students who do politics, who do international relations, who could talk for hours, because this is the kind of thing they study, and they have really formulated arguments, and they like to think big. Now, it's not that I'm not a big thinker. I am. I'm not someone that talks in people and events, unless I'm talking about what they mean in the long run, and what they mean is a bigger concept. But I'm still a marine biologist. If I did vlogs, you might find me vlogging about something I'd learned just because I was so excited about it. I don't want to get into that habit, because people are going to find out things that are just not interesting, and they're not going to watch the videos. And I did watch, not like a couple hours ago, I watched videos about, what was her name? No, it wasn't Awesome Rants. That was a different thing. It was Reprecision, doesn't who's losing his pizzazz for YouTube. Basically, he's like, I've not got that many views for how many subscribers. They're not watching it. That kind of thing. And Astrovex and Varmint both gave very good responses to him. Very good responses, saying that it's about quality. It's about, you know, what it provokes in people. The community discussion. It's the quality of your subscribers, not how many. And that is true. I won't get many views. That'll never happen. I know that. So if I started vlogging, they'd be kind of wasted. People will say, well, your songs are up there, they don't get any views. They're wasted. The thing with my songs is, the thing with YouTube is, what it's for is to let things out. It's like Varmint said, he said it's an outlet for him to talk, to rant. And clearly this has been an outlet for me, because I wouldn't have this discussion with someone I know, because no one I know is really involved in the YouTube community apart from an old guy I knew in high school that started doing videos and stuff, but he's doing it sketches and things like that. He's not doing vlogs. And yeah, Allah as well. He did a little videos and stuff, but it never came to anything. And sure, I could talk to him about it. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He's probably going to see this actually, because he is someone that would look up videos. My friends generally don't look at my videos. They don't look for my music videos. Every so often they do, because some of them are in it. The two girls I was in the last video with, they I think would look it up, but they won't have put email notifications or anything like that. They won't wait for it to be uploaded. Yeah, so they won't necessarily deliberately look it up. So I won't ever vlog. I don't think I ever will. But this has kind of been my rant to let out my appreciation, I guess, for the people that do it. And what I let out, you know, my let out on YouTube is music, because I can play a song over and over and over again, and I'm pretty sure my flatmates, like the flatmates I used to live with and the flatmate I'm living with now, is probably going to get absolutely berserk with me playing them over and over and over again. But if I get it out in a YouTube video, for some reason that's it over. There's a little capsule of it done. Now I won't ever listen to it. I don't like listening to myself. I don't think I'm that good anyway. But it's done, it's over, and I don't have to play that song again, and then I end up going into a different song. That's fine, that's just what happens. Music is the thing I need to outlet. Music is my outlet. So is art, so is drawing, so is writing. But music is the one that I can throw it out there into the void, and that's it gone. That's it. I don't know what it is about releasing it that way. I mean, I write a journal, but releasing it out to the world, even if no one watches it, it's still released into the world, so it doesn't matter, it's gone. Whereas my diary is very personal. I keep a diary. It means that I can formulate my ideas better. But I would never sit and, you know, vlog the things that I would normally write in my journal. I have a journal for that. So yeah. So well, there you go. That's my description of my purpose on YouTube. I'm probably gonna now go and play another song. I'll put it on a different video so that if you want to watch that, you can watch that. Of course, now I'm talking about people watching it and people don't watch it, but I'm gonna have them separate so I know, so that, you know, it's all clear and concise. But there you go.